Hey everyone, welcome to 59 Tops Friday, presented by Wax Pack Wisdom, where we talk baseball history through the cards we love. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. We built the iconic 1959 Topps baseball set, and in this series, we're going through every card to talk about the players, teams, and people who made up Major League Baseball in 1959. Today, we'll cover cards 125 through 133 in the set. Card number 125 belongs to Ron Fairly of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Fairly debuted with the Dodgers in 1958, but broke through as part of a group of young players in 1959 that helped propel the club to the NL pennant and then a World Series title. After the Dodgers let Gil Hodges go to the Mets in the expansion draft before the 1962 season, Fairly became LA's regular first baseman and was part of the team that won the World Series in 1963. 2 years later, Fairly was a star in the Dodgers' 1965 World Series win, hitting .379 with 2 homers. Fairly never put up big numbers in his career, but he was a dependable presence in the lineup for mostly the Dodgers and Expos in a 21-year career. He made the AL All-Star team for the Blue Jays during their inaugural season in 1977. Following his career, Fairly spent decades as a broadcaster for the Angels, Giants, and Mariners. Card number 126 belongs to Eddie Haas of the Milwaukee Braves. Haas was originally part of the Cubs organization and made his MLB debut for them in 1957. After that season, he was traded to the Braves as part of a 5-player deal. Haas was excellent in 1958 for the Braves' AAA affiliate in Wichita, hitting .326 and earning a 9-game stint with the MLB club. Unfortunately, Haas missed the entire 1959 season due to injury. He played 32 MLB games in 1960, then returned to the minors where he played until he retired after 1964. Haas stayed in the Braves organization as a coach and minor league manager. He was named the Braves manager for 1985, but he was fired after a 50-71 start. He was later a scout for the Expos and Red Sox. As of this recording, Haas is 88 years old and turns 89 in May of 2024. Card number 127 belongs to Kent Hadley of the Kansas City Athletics. Hadley signed with the Tigers out of USC and was traded to Kansas City after the 1957 season. His finest year as a professional was 1958 when he smashed 34 homers for the A's AA team in Little Rock. Hadley had a cup of coffee with the A's that September, and in 1959 he earned regular playing time in the big leagues at first base. He didn't perform like in the minors, hitting .253 with 10 homers in 113 games for the A's. Following the season, he was part of a trade with the Yankees that also sent Roger Maris to the Bronx. Hadley played 55 games there in 1960 and did not appear in the World Series. After a year in the White Sox system, Hadley played 6 years in Japan with the Nankai Hawks. Card number 128 belongs to Bob Hartman of the Milwaukee Braves. A teenage signee for the Braves out of Kenosha, Wisconsin, Hartman took a few years in the minors to come into his own, and he finally did in 1958. At their Atlanta AA affiliate, Hartman won 20 games in 1958 with a .294 ERA. Moving up to AAA in 1959, Hartman had a 3.36 ERA and made his MLB debut in April. After 3 games in 1959, he did not pitch in MLB again until 1962 with the Indians, where he had his most memorable big league performance in his first start. Hartman threw 10 innings of 1-run ball in the second game of a doubleheader against the Tigers, getting lifted in a game the Indians would eventually win in 12 innings. He threw 7 more games for the Indians that season and did not pitch in MLB again. Card number 129 belongs to Frank Herrera of the Philadelphia Phillies. Nicknamed Pancho, Herrera hailed from Cuba and made his pro debut stateside in 1955, making a big impression by hitting 21 homers in the minors while hitting .307. Herrera put up solid numbers after moving to first base from the outfield the next few years and debuted in Philly in 1958. After a full year in the minors in 1959, Herrera became the Phillies' everyday first baseman in 1960. He hit 17 homers, batted .281, and finished second in League Rookie of the Year voting to Frank Howard. But Herrera's numbers slipped in 1961. The Phillies traded for Roy Sievers after the season, and Herrera would not play in MLB again. He would, however, have a successful run as a power hitter for the Phillies International League affiliate for several years and played professionally into his 40s. He was inducted into the International League Hall of Fame in 2008. Card number 130 belongs to Lou Jackson of the Chicago Cubs. Jackson was a superlative batsman in the minors for the Cubs, batting .310 in 1957, .320 in 1958, and .330 in 1959. Those results did not, however, lead to Jackson earning regular playing time in the major leagues. He played 24 games in Chicago in 1958 and then 6 in 1959. He was traded to Cincinnati before 1960, but he never played for them in the majors. After some time in the Braves organization, Jackson was selected by the Orioles in the Rule 5 draft ahead of 1964, and he played 4 games for Baltimore before heading back to the minors. He played a couple years in Japan in the 1960s as well. Card number 131 belongs to Deron Johnson of the New York Yankees. Johnson was one of many talented farmhands the Yankees had during their dynastic 1950s run who were blocked from big league experience by generational talents in front of them. Johnson put together 3 stellar AAA seasons before finally breaking in with the Bombers late in 1960. Midway through 1961, he was dealt to the Athletics, where he also didn't get much of a chance. The Reds took him in for cash considerations ahead of the 1964 season, and he finally got regular playing time. Johnson was Cincy's regular third baseman in 1965, and he hit 32 homers, led the National League with 130 RBI, and finished 4th in league MVP voting. He had other solid seasons, including hitting 34 homers for the Phillies in 1971, but he was mostly a dependable hitting corner outfielder and infielder for 8 franchises in a 16-year MLB career. Also in 1971, Johnson hit 4 homers in consecutive at-bats over the course of 2 games. He won a World Series ring with Oakland in 1973. Johnson was a minor league manager and MLB hitting coach, as well as an owner of a construction company and a cattle ranch in his native San Diego following his playing career. Card number 132 belongs to Don Lee of the Detroit Tigers. Lee had pitched in 12 games for the Tigers prior to 1959 and was one of their top hurlers in 1958. For their Charleston team, Lee tossed 226 innings and sported a 2.95 ERA. He was traded to the Braves after 1959 and was then selected by the Senators in the Rule 5 draft. Lee was a regular on the Senators staff in 1960 and after when they moved to Minnesota. He mostly worked as a reliever over the course of a 9-year career, and he also appeared for the Angels, Astros, and Cubs. Lee finished with a 3.61 ERA in 244 MLB games. As of this recording, Lee is 89 years old and turns 90 later this month. Card number 133 belongs to Bob Lillis of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Lillis came up through the Dodgers system originally with Brooklyn and missed 2 seasons serving in the military. As a shortstop, he was blocked for years by Pee Wee Reese and eventually had the chance to win the everyday job, but lost out to Maury Wills. Lillis did not play in the 1959 World Series. He was traded to St. Louis in 1961 and was then selected by Houston in the expansion draft ahead of their first year in 1962. Lillis was an original member of the franchise and spent 6 years as a light-hitting infielder there, mostly playing shortstop. He stayed in the Astros organization following his playing career, working in scouting, player development, and eventually coaching on the MLB staff. In 1982, he was named Astros manager, a post he held through 1985. Lillis then spent 11 years as a coach for the Giants. As of this recording, Lillis is 93 years old and turns 94 in June of 2024. That's going to do it for this edition of 59 Tops Friday on Waxpack Wisdom. Do you have a story about one of the people, players, or teams we discussed today? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Waxpack Wisdom content. In the video description, you will find our source material for this episode, links to where you can follow us on all social media channels, as well as a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities. Please consider a donation to one of them if you enjoyed this content. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Waxpack Wisdom. Take care.